The Ballad of Narayama is a Japanese film released in the year 1983. The plot of the film follows a 69-year-old woman, Orin, who prepares herself for an inevitable legendary practice called Ubaste, in which anyone who lives for 70 years is carried to the Narayama mountaintop by their children and abandoned there to die. Before meeting her final fate, Orin sets on a path to perfect her children's living affairs. First, she finds a suitable match for her elder son and then helps her youngest son lose his virginity. Set in the 19th century, the film starts in a small rural village in Japan where food is scarce, life is harsh, and people are desperate and cruel. A small family is shown who lives in a small cabin. The mother, named Orin, is 69 years old and is of sound health. She has three sons, the elder Tatsuhe, the younger Kesukichi, and the youngest Rizuki. Orin asks Tatsuha if he was at their neighbor Arayashiki's house, but Tatsuha denies it. Later, he asks Rizuki if he went to the Arayashiki's house. He elaborates that he heard one of the villagers sneaking around Arayashiki's she-dog, whom they treat like their own daughter. Rizuki tells him that he didn't go there. Tatsuha informs him that Arayashiki beat the boy to death who tried to sexually interact with his dog. Rizuki repeatedly tells him that he didn't do anything. However, Tatsuha warns him that since he is his elder brother, he would be ashamed if Rizuki does something inappropriate. The following morning, the villagers are seen hunting animals as the conditions of the village are quite tough due to limited food resources. While cutting wood, Rizuki notices a dead child's body laying by the side of the river. He races to Jinsaku's house as his wife was pregnant a few days ago and tells him that it is not right to leave a dead body on his field. However, he finds out that the dead child is not from Jinsaku's family but from another family. Before Rizuku leaves, Jinsaku tells him that it is his family's turn to make a coffin, and he asks him to make one for his dying parent. Rizuku, who always stinks, races to Nakia's family's field questioning them about the abandoned child. However, he once again finds out that the baby does not belong to Nakia. It turns out that in the village, people are desperate to have a baby girl so they can sell her for profit. The scene cuts to a salt merchant arriving at Orin's house. He's pleased to see Orin's granddaughter. It's revealed that Tatsuha was married and had two kids, a boy and a girl from his wife who passed away by accidentally falling off a cliff. The salt merchant informs Orin that he saw Tatsuha at the western mountain, leaving Orin concerned. He then gives Orin some salt as a gift from the Yonhachi family from the opposite village. Yonhachi wants to marry their widowed daughter Tamayan to Tatsuha, which is why they've sent the salt to Orin to negotiate. Ecstatic, Orin rushes to Tatsuha, giving him the good news about the proposal. She tells him that Tamayan is 8 years younger than him and is a widow. Just then, Kisakichi and Rizuki get into a fight after Kisakichi asks Rizuki to distance himself from him due to Rizuki's stinking body smell. Orin orders Rizuki to respect Kisakichi as he will become the head of the family after Tatsuha. She then asks Tatsuha if he went to the western mountains. Tatsuha denies leading Orin into thinking that the salt merchant might have seen Tatsuha's father on the mountain, as Tatsuha and his father, Rihi, have started to resemble a lot. It turns out that Rihi disappeared 30 years ago, and no one knows if he's alive or dead. Later, Tatsuha asks his mother why his father disappeared. Orin recounts that it was a bad harvest that year when she and Rihai had just sold their newborn daughter to the salt merchant. Rihai's mother had reached the age of 70, and according to the village's tradition, she was supposed to travel to Narayama, a remote mountain, to die of starvation, a practice known as Yubasut. Rihai couldn't bear abandoning his mother alone, so he ran away, making Orin a laughingstock in the village. The scene cuts to Kisakichi desperately making out with a girl named Matsuyan from the Amaya family in the middle of the forest. In between the film, there are brief snippets of birds, snakes, and other animals hunting, singing, or mating. Tatsuha passes by Jinsaku's house and finds out that Jinsaku has been starving his father and wants to send him to Narayama in the upcoming winter as he has reached the age of 70. Tatsuha then finds Kisakichi sitting with his friends passing time, and he charges at him for wasting his time. Orin goes to see her ill neighbor, Okan, who wishes to go to Narayama and die instead of dying with an illness. Orin encourages her that she will reunite with her husband in the mountains. Orin herself feels hopeless as she has no clue where her husband Rihai is. She feels ashamed for being strong at the age of 69, so she keeps trying to break her teeth but to no avail. At night, while serving dinner to her children, she announces that Tatsuha's new bride will be coming over soon from the opposite village. Kisakichi rejects her idea and tells her to consider marrying him instead. He clarifies that they cannot afford to feed extra people and suggests that his wife can take care of Tetsuha's daughter. Orin fumes with anger and does not give Kisakichi food as a punishment. Tatsuha's son reveals to the family that Kisakichi has been seeing a girl named Matsuyan. The following morning, Okane's son arrives and informs Tatsuha that his mother died. Tatsuha, who has been preparing a coffin for her, takes it to her only to find Okane alive and walking. Soon enough, Tamiyan shows up at Orin's house. Orin is elated to see her and gives her a warm welcome. Tamiyan tells her that she is more than happy to take care of Tatsuha's daughter. Orin makes it clear to her that she will soon be going to Narayama for the ritual. Tamiyan is surprised to know it as Orin looks quite young and is very attractive compared to other ladies of her age. Ashamed, Orin goes to her warehouse and forces her face against a brick, breaking her front teeth deliberately. Ryusuke is shocked to witness her doing so and picks up the broken teeth. Orin then returns to Tamiyan, lying to her that her teeth are weakening and that she will go to the mountains soon. She then goes to inform Tatsuha about Tamiyan. When the villagers see Orin's bleeding gums, they are startled and start mocking her. At night, Orin assures Tatsuha that though Tamiyan is not as beautiful as his first wife, she will make a fine daughter-in-law. Tatsuha consummates his marriage by making out with Tamiyan at night. Ryusuke peeps at them making out and gets turned on. He rushes to Ariyashiki's house. There, he sexually interacts with Ariyashiki's female dog, Shiro. Ariyashiki, who is on his deathbed, explains to his wife, Oe, that after his death, she must spend a night with each man in the village and persuade them to worship the god of the house. It turns out that Ariyashiki's father killed a boy in their house whose spirit has been haunting the place ever since, which is why Ariyashiki wants Oe to make atonement on his behalf. Ryusuke eavesdrops on their conversation and tells the entire village about it the next morning. However, everyone refuses to believe him and makes fun of his disgusting smell. Ryusuke prays to God to remove his smell and take away Oe's husband soon so he can make love to her. Just then, Tatsuha appears and gives Ryusuke a solid beating for harassing Shiro. Orin finds out about the situation. While she treats Ryusuke's wounds, he asks her if he stinks. Being a mother, Orin lies to him that she cannot smell anything stinky. The scene cuts to Kisakichi having sex with Matsuan. She is pregnant and is expecting a baby next year. Kisakichi invites her to his place the next day to have lunch with his family. Since Matsuan is pregnant, she eats immensely, catching Orin and Tamiyan's attention. At night, Matsuan steals food from Orin's cabin and gives it to her family. Tatsuha catches her stealing the food and tries to punish her. However, after he notices that she's pregnant, he spares her life. In the middle of the night, everyone wakes up when the Amaya family is caught stealing beans from another field. Matsuan's father begs Kisakichi to save them since Matsuan is his wife now, but to no avail. The stolen food is raided from their cabin and distributed to the village equally. While the village is busy punishing the Amaya family, Ryusuke finds out that Oe's husband passed away. The next day, Kisakichi discusses with his family that they cannot abandon the Amaya family or else they will start stealing again. At night, while having sex with Matsuan, Kisakichi wishes for them to have a girl so they can sell her. Just then, Orin calls Matsuan and gives her some vegetables so that she can feed her family, and asks her to spend the night at her parents' place. When Matsuan goes to feed her family, the villagers peek into their cabin and assume that they have stolen the harvest again. They burst into their cabin and carry each member of their family to throw them in a pit. One by one, all the members of the family are thrown into a pit and buried alive. Kisakichi keeps yelling that Matsuan is carrying his baby, but he is suppressed. Dejected, Kisakichi returns home and berates his mother for killing Matsuan. He laments over the death of his wife and unborn child. It turns out that Orin was worried about how her family will survive in the upcoming winter because of the Amaya family who hoarded all the crops. This is the reason she punished Matsuan and her family. On the other hand, Ryusuke keeps track of who Oe is screwing every day. He starts believing that his turn will soon come. However, one night he realizes that Oe skipped him, refusing to sleep with him. Orin finds him lamenting over his doomed faith and stinking body. To vent his anger, he starts beating the horse. Tatsuha finds him and feels bad for his brother. He agrees to let him sleep with his wife for one night. Tatsuha then tries to convince his wife to spend one night with his brother. He blackmails her that Ryusuke might kill the horse in anger and they will not have anything to eat in the winter. Tamiyan berates him for losing the crops on gambling and disagrees to spend the night with Ryusuke. On the other hand, Orin begs Oe to consider Ryusuke, but she straightaway refuses to sleep with him. She then goes to Okane and asks her to help Ryusuke lose his virginity. The following morning, Orin informs Tamiyan that she's going to Narayama Mountain the next day. Just then, Kisakichi informs her that he saw Rahei on the mountaintop. Orin and Tatsuha go to see him only to discover that it was not Rihei but his spirit. Tatsuha reveals that when he was 15 years old, he went hunting with Rihei. While returning back, he got into a fight with his father and in his fury, he shot him to death. Orin, who loves Tatsuha blindly, assures him that it was the god of the mountain who killed Rihei, not him. Moreover, she asks him not to tell this revelation to anyone. Before departing, Orin makes sure to completely train Tamiyan on how to prepare food and catch fish. She does not want to cling to life beyond her term and calls a council meeting at night, declaring her departure before ascending. Each member of the council informs Orin of the rules that she must follow while pursuing the inevitable and frightening legendary practice of Ubasut. Meanwhile, the elderly Okane comes to Rizuke and offers her body so he can lose his virginity. Finally, after a long wait, Rizuke performs sex with her for the first time and feels pleasure. At night, while Orin prepares for her departure, she finds Jinsaku's father at her doorstep, begging her to save him. Jinsaku tells Tatsuha that his father broke the rope and came back running from the Narayama mountain even though his time in the village is overdue. Orin encourages Jinsaku's father that he must not offend the god of the mountain. Without letting anyone know, Tatsuha carries Orin on his back to the Narayama mountain. After covering a very difficult path, he injures his foot nail at a point but does not give up and makes his way to the cliff. When he stops at a spot to drink water, Orin sneaks away as she did not want to linger with her son all along. Tatsuha looks for her in the region and finally finds her sitting in one place. He carries her again on his back and arrives at a valley. He talks about how his ancestors have crossed the same path. He tells her that a few years from now, Kisakichi will carry him to the mountain using the same path, and later Kisakichi will be carried by Rizuke. After doing some rest, he again sets out for Narayama, and finally reaches the abandoned destination, which is marked by tons of skeletons on the site. At one point, Orin insists Tatsuha drop her there. Tatsuha drops his mother at the place. Feeling guilty that he killed his father and now is leaving his mother to die. Following the rules, Orin does not utter a single word and bids farewell to her son by hugging him tightly. When Tatsuha refuses to let her go, she slaps him in the face, forcing him to leave. On the other hand, Jinsaku forcibly leaves his father on the mountain and mistakenly pushes him into the pit to get rid of him. Finally, the winter sets in, and it starts snowing the day Orin comes to Narayama. Fearful for his mother's life, Tatsuha rushes back to her, but Orin sends him away. The film ends with Tatsuha arriving home and Tamiyan welcoming him back. This movie has a rating of 7.8 on IMDb. I hope you all liked this video. If yes, then make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.